Hello you, it's me. Today we're going to talk about From the Depths and Other Strange Tales of the Sea, collected by Mike Ashley and published as part of the British Library's Tales of the Weird collection, where they collect and republish these lesser-known stories in sort of themed volumes. They're very cool, they have some really gorgeous covers, go check them out. The whole lot looks great on a shelf together. These are originally all published between sort of 1870 and 1930-ish. I hadn't heard of any of the authors in here before. It's a really mixed bag. I usually give a plot rundown, but listen, with this one, it's exactly what it says on the tin. So let's get straight into talking about it. It seems like the stories that were picked for this collection, probably indicative of the period they were written in, were based around scary things that actually happened to sailors. Stuff that they could feel the ripples of in their daily life. Things like, what if I die at sea and don't get a Christian burial? What if my ship disappears? What if I'm thrown overboard? Ships really do vanish without a trace. That could totally happen to me. The stories don't have a villain for the most part. A lot of them, the adversary is the sea, are the elements. There were two stories in this that really grabbed me. The first being one of the stories about Sargasso, which is a floating algae, a floating seaweed in the Atlantic that forms these huge rafts and can jam up boat rudders, boat propellers, cause a lot of problems. But the author imagines huge swathes of it as far as the eye can see, a ship trapped in the middle with no escape. And any attempt to cross it in a small boat or on foot, you're immediately sucked under and drowned. I genuinely enjoyed that one. It had this feeling of increasing stress and impending doom. The second one I liked, which was really fun, was about an invisible creature thrown up onto a ship during a storm, which kills the crew one by one. Turns out to be some kind of invisible vampire squid that sucks people's body fluids out and leaves them as these dried, leathery husks. Obviously written before people had a grasp of biology or animals, but fun anyway as a spooky romp. I know you shouldn't really simplify stories and try and boil them down to the core essence. It's like people who read Lord of the Rings and they're like, it's just 3 books about walking. But I feel like a lot of these short stories can unfortunately be boiled down to something that's not very exciting to me. Like, I saw a ship and then it vanished. Or, I saw a light on deck, I thought someone was smoking but nobody was there. Something I do think is quite interesting is when I think of nautical maritime stories, I think of the age of sailing ships, wooden sailing ships. And since the stories in here are late 1800s to early 1900s, it's sort of the advent and the competition of steamships. So while the style of the writing is really archaic to me, the content of the stories in terms of setting and technology feels quite modern and up to date, more so than a lot of other spooky sailor stories that I've read. You could tell me some of these stories were set in the 1980s and I would have no way of disputing that. One thing that ticked me off to no end was how every story seemed to be laid out. The story opens with the narrator telling another person in the story, something happened to me, or I heard this really cool story, and then telling the story. Like we're observing a conversation from outside. And I don't know why they felt the need to do that, as if it almost lends some kind of credibility or believability to the story, maybe. Like writing, this is based on a true story before a movie, but I hate that. Every time they did that, they started a story with that. I was like, ah! So I'm going to give this 3 stars. I like ocean-based stories, but I think for me, the stuff I like is more along the lines of Michael Crichton, Peter Benchley, Frank Schätzing. It took me too long to read this. Half of it was pretty boring. It probably would have scared people at the time it was written, at the time the stories were published. I think I'm probably just desensitized to horror and I need something original and mold-breaking and really shocking to like slap me in the face. But listen, that's a me problem. You might like this. So thanks for tuning in to my review. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, which I'll link down below. Don't forget to follow me on Goodreads, which I'll link down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe because more reviews come in thick and quick. I read pretty fast. And if you want, join our Sci-Fi Interstellar Book Club, which I will also link down below. That's on Discord. And I'll see you soon for the next review. Bye.